Hello everyone, thank you for joining me on this next video, and thank you so much for the new subscribers. Thank you so much, it means a lot to me. It makes me realise that I'm doing something right. Anyway, let's get on to this video. So basically the living room really needed a makeover. The walls were looking very tired, and there was part of a living room where I'm actually showing you right now, which is basically the front chimney breast, obviously the main feature of the actual living room. And basically it's wood behind there is a whole load of mistakes that it would need a construction person to actually come in, a builder to actually tackle that. And obviously there was no builder on site due to the lockdown and plus our budget. So we're focused mainly on doing it ourselves, a DIY. So basically I wanted to make sure that the room was going to be bright and airy, so I wanted to stick to white, and we had to strip right back around the fireplace, and there was this wood that was there since I had actually, well, this is my mum's house, so I've helped her out and I'm staying with her during quarantine and lockdown. So basically this area was like, had chipboard wood and it was varnished, so we didn't do anything to it last time, so we basically painted over it, which was a quick fix. Now every time we ever tackle my mum's house, we always find that we need to do something more a little bit more in depth. So we end up, and this is a conversation I was having with her, we end up stripping it back again after when we come to decorate. And this is what we did: we took off that wood with a crowbar, and it was such a relief really, because it just took off so much pressure, because we could actually see the wall for the very first time. And then we're talking like, my mum had lived here like for 40 years, so this is quite a big what's the word, just a complete rehaul of of the property. So she was quite relieved, and it was damp behind there because the wood was capturing all the moisture from when cooking and the weather and everything else, because that's the outside wall. So this was quite a relief to actually get this off and focus on the actual main living room. You can see here in the alcove, which is the green wall, which is where the wood I was just mentioning in the first clip, where the wood was actually against the wall. It was stuck and actually screwed into the plaster, and I tell you what, it was absolutely horrendous trying to take it off. Anyway, so around the edging you can see that there's a skirting board, which was not there when we first did it. And we had no way of getting to the DIY store, so we ended up having to do, I had some pallet wood that I sanded down, filled the holes in, and it actually worked well because it actually fitted in with the rest of the baseboard skirting board around the living room. And it just literally, because the living room has like a slant to the actual skirting board, and luckily this was just a flat edge, and my sander actually broke, so I couldn't even sand down on the edging just to make it a little bit more in sync with the rest of the actual skirting board. So this clip is to show where we were putting beading around the edging, and we didn't have a nail gun, and we couldn't actually put any nails into this piece of wood because it was so thin, and we don't have a nail gun obviously, and that would take off the pressure of hammering in any nails. So we had to end up gluing it with wood glue, and as you can see down the sides is a trim which actually hides the whole of the corner and sort of boxes it in, boxes the actual chimney breast around the area of the chimney and also the fireplace. I forgot to mention in the first clip where there was a great big hole. Now this fire, there's a long story behind it, but basically it's condemned, and it's not condemned as it's falling apart, but it's not advisable to have log fires within the house. So we ended up having, as no fancy Victorian, because this house is not a Victorian house, there's no fancy Victorian gem behind this brick wall, so we basically felt that it needed to be blocked up. We don't need it, so and my mum actually fixed the whole wall and found some old bricks, and we had cement left over, so we ended up boxing it in and thinking of a new feature later on. And as you can see, on top of the mantelpiece there was an original dark wood. We've just actually laid a new piece of wood on top, again from the garden, and we sanded it down, and it makes a little bit more of a ledge on top of the mantelpiece, and it makes it a little bit more of a thicker mantelpiece rather than the thin wood that it was previously there. And as you can see in this clip, the mantelpiece is quite thin, and I'm quite pleased that we actually went with a thicker base, because I think it makes it more of a meaty looking fireplace rather than a very thin, cheapy 1970s remake. So I'm pleased with the outcome of this. And in this clip you can actually see more of the lovely green walls, and then you can see in that area, that just on that right hand side trim where the white wall meets the green wall, and that's where I had to get the crowbar in to get the wood off. It was an awful job, and later on you'll see how we fixed that with some filler and making it look a little bit more just a little bit more attractive, I think, and I think you'll be quite impressed with the outcome of that. And we're going to keep the wall sconces, again, electrical. I'm not an electrician, so this is perfect, really just a leave. I have ideas on where I will put a lampshade over it and around it, just a little bit of a DIY trickery of the eye. And I really want to make sure that that looks a little bit more attractive. But you can see that what we had to work with and what we needed to in line with the rest of the living room. So I'm hoping you'll like the end product. Here we go. We go. So with the mirror up and a few accessories matching a colour, and you can see in the middle we actually painted a wooden board to actually give the illusion of a fireplace, just so that you had something as a focal point in the living room. And each side you have the I call it the library, but it's just a reading nook of a bunch of books on a bookcase. And on the left you can see, which is the bureau, which I call my office, and it has a lovely lamp. In the next picture you'll see that there's a lamp from IKEA and a lamp the other side of the room, which is from where did I get that from? Oh, TK Maxx. So I'm very happy with the outcome of this. And this is the front. This was before I made any accessories on the top of the mantelpiece, but you can see how thick that is now. And I'm much happier. The chair on the left isn't really a focal point. It doesn't really stay in the room, so it's just when we need the actual office itself. And just look at that mantelpiece, it's much thicker. And then you can see on the far right, the edge by the bookcase is all completely done with filler and sanding. So that's nice, a nice clean edge. And here you can see the actual edge of where the trim by the candle, look at the candle and then take your eye to the right, and that's the trim that I was talking to you about, which is basically plain pine, and it's just a trim that actually finished off the edge. And look at that fireplace. I'm very happy. For a fireplace that doesn't actually work, I'm happy with the trickery of theatre design that's helped me here.